It is 4 o'clock and good afternoon. I'm Cordell Wright. Tomorrow is National Day of Remembrance of Indigenous Boarding Schools, or Orange Shirt Day. The day brings attention to residential schools of years past. I-Team reporter Beth Warden introduces us to those that have shouldered and endured the pain at those schools and points to what can help with the healing. Good afternoon, Beth.
Good afternoon, Cordell. Orange Shirt Day began in Canada with the discovery of a cemetery on the site of an Indian boarding school, the realization of more graves, and the hope to return the children's bodies back to the tribes. And that word quickly spread across the U.S.
In the late 1800s, residential boarding schools were set up by the U.S. federal government to change the way of life for Native American children. Dawn Marie Johnson's family is among the many that bear the emotional scars that carry through the generations.
Could you imagine losing your child at 3, 4, 5, just taken from your home? Little to no information where they're going to go, little to no information if you'll ever see them again. I couldn't imagine.
Dawn Marie asked her great aunt to share her experience at the boarding school. The conversation began, but it was too painful to continue.
To be that hurt by something had to have been truly traumatic.
In a cozy Flandreau apartment today, Gary Kills 100 remembers when life was anything but comfortable.
When I was 3, 4 years old, that's all I spoke was my language.
In an instant, all of that was ripped away.
I went to boarding school, but it was in Arizona. Well, what would have happened, if something had happened to me and I got buried down there? Who would know? I was never allowed to speak my language again. Allowed to.
One of the first and most notorious boarding schools was the Carlisle Indian School in Pennsylvania. Many children from our area were sent there, or to 23 similar schools. Barb Landis is in her 3rd decade of helping families and tribes connect with the history of loved ones who went to Carlisle.
Every kid who came in was put into uniform, their hair was cut, and their lives were structured very institutionally, which was completely foreign to the way that their communities had been nurturing them. Richard Henry Pratt, the founder of the school, he's credited with using the phrase, "kill the Indian, save the man."
The abuse haunts survivors to this day.
I wouldn't wish anyone to go through anything like that.
Unfortunately, from the genocide, there's still residual effects of drugs, alcohol, health.
There are steps to healing, like identifying the remains of children who died at the schools and bringing them home for burial.
Any return of a relative is vitally important.
And having open conversations about what happened.
If we started to understand each other better by way of knowing the history, I think that would change so much.
Listen to the stories that are finally emerging rather than being afraid of people who are people we perceive as different from us.
Now, just last weekend, the Sisseton Wahpeton tribe welcomed two boys home for reburial from the Carlisle Indian School. And as we speak, potential graves are being unearthed in Iowa, in Genoa, Iowa, another site of a former Indian school. We have additional stories online. The journey of Frank Morris, who went to Carlisle. You can see the full interview and discover how you can find residential student records online. All of that at dakotanewsnow.com. Cordell?
Beth, thank you.